1963 was only interviewed by one reporter throughout the trial, Dorothy Kilgallen. Since her interview with Ruby, many noted that Kilgallen carried a file with her at all times. It remained under lock and key when not physically in her hands, according to those close to her. Kilgallen's file continued to grow throughout the investigation. In a conversation with her lawyer, Jim Garrison, that's the guy who prosecuted, that was in the movie, Kevin Costner played him in the JFK movie.
Yeah.
Prior to a trip to New Orleans, with Dorothy later inexplicably canceled, he remembers her saying, "I'm going to break the real story and have the biggest scoop of the century." Kilgallen's first trip to New Orleans was planned 2 weeks prior to her death, when her husband, Richard Colmar, found her with files missing by her hairdresser in a bedroom she never slept in, dressed in clothes she would never wear to bed, reading a book she had finished and disliked, wearing glasses she didn't need for reading. The initial autopsy report, a Brooklyn medical office as opposed to the office in Manhattan where she lived, found her cause of death to be a lethal combination of alcohol and barbiturates. The report later amended to note that the barbiturate originally found, Seconal, a sleeping pill for which she had been prescribed, was in fact a combination of Tuinol and Nembutal, which she did not have access to. Although her death was eventually ruled a suicide, Kilgallen's husband noted that when she returned from a taping of What's My Line early that evening, she appeared chipper.
Well, a lot of people do seem chipper before they go.
They're like,
still
I decided.
Yeah.
A researcher by the name of Mark Shaw who investigated Kilgallen's death found that she was under surveillance by the FBI through the Freedom of Information Act. Friends of Kilgallen recall her expressing fear for her life leading up to her death, and she supposedly even purchased a gun, a rather uncharacteristic thing for her. Yeah, they whacked her.
Yeah, they've got to finish releasing.
In a recent release of the JFK files on October 26, 2017, a file entitled Dorothy Kilgallen by Richard Nixon was released, but its contents remain sealed due to reasons of national security. They whacked her.
Yeah, it does. Was there a gay karate chop, or did I make that up?
I didn't see that part.
They whacked her.
It seems likely.
She was digging into the investigation. Look, when you talk to, I talked to Oliver Stone about it multiple times, and Oliver Stone, despite his advanced age, is still brilliant, and his recall is incredible. His recall in the assassination, he's obsessed with that assassination. So he can tell you, who was involved, and who did this, and Alan Dulles, and this and that, the Warren Commission report, and then it goes back. The rabbit hole just goes so deep. It goes all the way to Richard Nixon, because it goes all the way to Gerald Ford, who was on the Warren Commission's report. And when they kicked Spiro Agnew out, they got Spiro Agnew on corruption.
Yeah.
They kicked him out. They put in Gerald Ford.
Yes.
Then they kicked Richard Nixon out.
Yeah.
With the Watergate thing, which
Yes.
I always thought was Richard Nixon got caught being a crook, but it was
He was not a crook.
it was an intelligence agency plot. The whole thing was Tucker Carlson lays it out.
Yeah. The Nixon reputation is starting to come back.
Well,
People are starting to love Nixon again.
there's a lot of
Maybe
Nixon
for the first time.
stuff that he did that's not good. Jim Cothey decided to write a book about the assassination of John F. Kennedy. However, he died on the 21st of September, 1964.
Oh, there we go.
And see that a man broke into his Dallas apartment and killed him by a karate chop to the throat.
That could happen to anybody. That's a real thing that happens all the time.
This is the thing, how do they know they didn't just strangle him to the throat? If you have damage to your throat, if you don't see the guy karate chopping him.
Well, it does seem like a weird flourish for the secret police to put out there.
But that's one of those things that you would say. Cothey just, it seemed like a man broke into his apartment. Tom Howard died of a heart attack, age 48, 1965. Who's Tom Howard? Oh, his attorney. Okay. And they both died. They definitely could give you a heart attack. They definitely could give you a heart attack. The karate chop.
Karate chop does it. I really always held on to karate chop. That's the one detail that really stayed with me through the
How are you
years.
sure? You can't tell. I've seen so many guys get beat up, and you can never tell what hit them.
It could have been a very long bruise across the throat, a big forearm.
Shin to the neck. Easy.
People didn't have that. that sort of kicking ability.
Sure they did.
In the West at that time?
Sure, some people did. Yeah, there was people that trained like an assassin. If you were going to be an assassin, you would learn Muay Thai.
Yeah.
There was like legit Muay Thai guys.
You could also have a
back then.
knife.
Yeah.
You could also have...
But if you
gotta
wanted
break
to
in.
make it look like it was like a...
That was a bachelor flat. Is that why I thought it was some sort of...
Cause of death, asphyxiation from a broken bone at the base of his neck. Apparently the result of a karate chop. You know, I'm suspicious. I think they probably thought of it as a karate chop because this is how people thought back then. But
Yeah.
I would imagine that was like a baton on the neck where you choke a guy to death.
Well, there was a time, I know in Austin Powers, karate chop is like a cool thing. Early
Yeah.
60s, people just found out about
The
karate.
other guy was accidentally shot by the police a few hours before witness
That can
testified.
happen. That can happen.
Jesus Christ, man. When you read stories like this, like if you're not a conspiracy theorist, you're like...
Yeah, it was the karate chop that made me think it was something had gone wrong. Karate chop's the only thing that drew me in. I was happily signing up with the rest of the official narrative.
Dude, I've seen a lot of guys get karate chopped in the neck.
They're all fine.
None of them died. Yeah,
My
you
dad
don't-
is like a big...
That's not what breaks your neck.
My dad really he really believes the JFK assassination happened the way they said it did. And he went to, he made a whole trip of it to Dallas, and he went up to the building, and he was like, he could have done it. He could have done it from here.
Well, here's
But
the
that's
thing.
his, so I've never really dug into it.
But here's the thing. He could have shot JFK in the head from the book depository.
Yeah.
Anybody who says any different has never shot a rifle. It wasn't that far. It was, I think it was 140 yards. If you have a scope and you have an accurate rifle, 140 yards is not a long shot. And if you have practiced and you know how it's going to go down and you're prepared, you're going to know exactly where he's going to be. You're going to have the crosshair on him. You pull the trigger, you hit him in the head. And you might be able to get off a couple of shots. And some people have been able to recreate the 3 shots. And they think that he got off 3 shots. And that's impossible.
They recreated?
Yeah, people have done it.
They like closed down Central Dallas? And
No. They shot off 3 rounds from a Carcano rifle in that same period of time.
Yeah.
They didn't do it there.
Yeah.
But they did it. They showed, look, you can shoot 3 times in the amount of time that it took you to drive.
But this is the problem with any conspiracy theory is that, like...
Well, you got to look at all of it
There are a bunch of things that don't...
Yeah.
There are like 1,000 conspiracy theories about JFK.
Yeah,
And some of them are nuts, but then some of them hold up.
That was my point, though, is that is undeniable. But it's also undeniable there was a lot of people that reported that they heard gunshots from the grassy knoll.
Yeah.
There's also the whole magic bullet theory, which is total horseshit. That's the most horseshit theory that's ever been promoted.
That there was like an ice bullet that dissolved inside of...
No, do you know the magic bullet theory?
It like
One bullet
moved in the
caused a
air?
whole ton of
What,
injuries
it
in
zipped
both
around?
men. No, this is what they had to do. Okay, there was a guy that got shot in the underpass.
Yes.
So there was an underpass, and a ricochet hit the granite, the curbstone,
Yeah.
and he got hit in the head. So he got fucked up, and he had to go to the hospital. And then they found the impact, and they found the bullet. So they knew that this accounted for one of the shots
Yeah.
that it missed. So then they had to account for 2 different entry holes on Kennedy
Yep.
and entry hole in Connolly. So
Okay.
Connolly was shot in the wrist.
Yeah.
So they had, and in the thigh as well. So you had to say that one bullet did all this damage in both people, and then there was the headshot
Yeah.
because you have the 3rd bullet. So they had came up with one wacky theory, and they found this bullet in pristine condition on the gurney when they went to visit in the hospital. So when they had JFK's gurney in the hospital,
There
they,
was a bullet
they
next to him.
magically found this pristine
Yeah.
bullet.
This is like when the passports fall out of the plane on 9/11.
Yeah, almost as ridiculous. But this one is so ridiculous because you have the physical evidence of the bullet, which is impossible. It's impossible for a bullet to shatter bone, go through 2 different people, leave more residue, like more bullet fragments were in Connolly's wrist than were missing
And
from
that
the
one's
bullet.
just fine.
That bullet supposedly went through 2 different people, shattered bone on both of them. And
That's a special bullet.
as a person who's shot guns before, that's horseshit. That's not what happens when a bullet hits bone. So it's supposed to have gone through his back.
This is the official
exits
explanation?
out his tie hole. Yeah, like right where his tie knot is, goes into Connolly's wrist, and then goes into his thigh. Shatters his wrist, leaves fragments in his wrist, the wound left in the thigh, and then they find this magical, perfect bullet, pristine condition on the gurney in the hospital.
I mean,
might
look,
have
it
been.
seems weird.
Was it Connolly's gurney that they found it on, or JFK's? I might have got it wrong. It might have been Connolly's gurney that they found the bullet on. But either way, listen to me. Shut the fuck up.
No, I usually stop at this point because I don't want it to happen.
Anybody who says that's what happened, shut the fuck up. And then there's also the problem of the bullet hole in his neck. Now they're trying to attribute that as an exit wound, but the thing is, there's two different autopsies. There's the autopsy from Dallas, and then there was the autopsy from Bethesda, Maryland. And the discrepancy was the one in Bethesda, Maryland, I believe, called it a tracheotomy scar or tracheotomy cut.
Okay.
So like they opened him up to put a trach in. The only reason why they would do that is they don't want to attribute that to a bullet that hit him in the front of the neck. I think there was a bunch of different people that were trying to figure out how do we make it so that it was only this one guy.
Yeah.
And Lee Harvey Oswald might have pulled the trigger. He might have been a part of it.
He does kill the policeman later, right?
I believe so. I believe they most people believe he did that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And well, he already knew that he was on the run at that point in time, right? And then when he gets arrested, he says, "I'm a patsy. I'm a patsy." Okay. Maybe he was involved. Maybe he didn't pull the trigger. Maybe somebody else who was a real expert marksman. Because he wasn't that good. Like people say he wasn't a good marksman, but let me tell you something about.
He was like downgraded to marksman.
Yeah. But here's the thing about shooting rifles. All right, when you're talking about like 500 yards, you're talking about really long shots where you're required to be prone and lay perfectly still.
Yeah.
Yes. I would say you really want to be an elite marksman to do that, and there's a lot of technique involved in training, and they're very meticulous about their preparation, their breath work, and it's like a very intense thing because you can't move at all. You have to be like so precise. But 140 yards is not far. It's not that far.
It's like with the Trump thing, they said a child could have done it.
If he had a scope. That kid didn't have a scope. See, the Trump thing was fucked because that guy was using iron sights. So iron sights it's like standard. You can adjust them slightly, but like towards your side, closer to the shooter, there are two posts, and at the end there's one post, and the scoop from the upper post, it lines in. He did have a scope. Oh, so why did they say that he didn't forever?
Down here.
But there was a photograph of it.
So this photo down the corner with my cursor doesn't have a scope. But
Right.
This is from the FBI. Evidence.
Okay, but here's the thing. I'm pretty sure there was a photograph of it laying on the roof and it didn't have a scope. And this is why, and this is not my theory, this is all the people that I know that are in like the tactical world that have talked to me about this. They were saying that he had iron sights. See if you can find it, if they show a photo of the actual rifle.
And then there's just nothing about this that's come out since then.
So if he had a scope, that's even crazier that he missed, because that's a chip shot. It's not a hard shot. You're 140 yards. You have an accurate rifle. So let's see. Scoop bit on that. It kind of does look like he has a scope. Go back to that again.
A lot of these pictures from just talking of it though are using a picture of a gun without a scope to kind of confuse people.
It's hard to tell.
Interesting. Okay, so it's hard to tell, but go to the top one again and make that larger. No, the one that's on the right-hand side? Yeah, that. Okay, that looks a little bit like a scope to me. There's something above the barrel at the middle point of the gun.
Yeah.
It doesn't look flat. It looks like there might be a scope. Okay, which is even crazier that he missed then, because this guy is shooting from a very close distance, but he probably fucking panicked. He's a 20-year-old kid.
But also, he turns his head just at the right. It's the miraculous head turn.
Yeah. But the thing is, that's not an expert marksman. He did train a lot, though. That was the other thing. Like, there was a lot of people that trained in firearms with that kid. So they knew that someone either told him to do that or he was preparing by himself to do that.
Why has nothing come out about it?
Bro.
You would think.
Because I think that MK Ultra shit keeps going. I think that it's like that Aerosmith song, train kept a rolling all night long. I think it just keeps going. I don't think they stopped. I think someone, whether it's our government or another government or some giant business interest, someone probably talked that kid into doing that, gave him the resources. He had 5 different phones.
Oh man,
his
you could have talked someone into doing it.
His entire home was professionally scrubbed.
Yeah.
There was no silverware in his home when they searched his home.
I mean, it's weird that there wasn't more. I know there was like a guy at the golf course, and there was like a third guy maybe.
Mm-hmm.
But the temperature in the country at that time was, no one was like actively coming out and begging. The Dems weren't coming out and saying someone's got to kill this guy, but they were going, "This is an insane
Yeah,
threat
but it
to our
might
freedom."
not just be the Dems. This is what you have to understand. It's probably business interests. If you're in another country, okay, and this guy's actively campaigning saying that he's going to raise tariffs and he's going to call, we're going to make China pay, we're going to make Russia pay, everyone's going to pay. If you're in some, military-controlled country that's going to lose trillions of dollars because this guy's going to make everybody pay,
Yeah.
you might hire someone to do something.
Well, this is why he goes Vance immediately out. This is what I put together as a theory. Someone else must have done it, but you pick someone who seems scarier than you, right? You go, well, if you kill me, you get him.
You think Vance is scary?
I think at the time he seemed like the furthest right protectionist candidate that Trump could have picked from on the VP list.
I don't think he really is, though.
I don't know what he is.
He's pretty reasonable when you have a real conversation with him. He's definitely conservative. He's pretty reasonable, but he's also like a no-nonsense, no-bullshit guy who he doesn't lack in compassion.
But he was he was not the easiest.
He's young.
Electorally, there were other people he could have gone with.